dudes, we gotta talk.
Oh, what?
What's up, Wayback?
What happened?
OMG, you don't even know.
No, what?
So, the Time Machine, meaning yours truly, told you all to do 1985. And you goobers are doing 1986.
Oh my gosh.
Are you sure, Wayback?
Let me just go way back to the episode we just recorded last month. Let's go way back to 1985.
Okay.
Hey!
I'm glad to be back in the 80s. Now
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
I feel like Billboard might be more recognizable now. So this is good.
You're joking, right?
The good news is, being a time machine, I knew this was gonna happen. And I allowed it, of course. So let's continue with the awesome year of 1986. And we'll revisit 85 again soon.
Fair enough.
That sounds like a plan.
I can't believe we did that. That's hilarious.
Our bad, Wayback.
That's
yeah.
right.
Oops.
We'll catch it better next time. But yeah, a little bit too much fun over the holidays for us, I'm afraid.
At least we got the topics right.
Yeah. Or did we?
So about that, y'all weren't even close.
Uh-oh.
Steve was supposed to do music. Keith was supposed to do movies and television, not the other way around.
Are you serious?
Keith was supposed to do movies and television of 1985, and Steve did movies and television of 1986.
Correct.
Wow. We really
So,
messed that up.
This is weird to me because I remember saying, I'll do TVs and movies," and
Yes.
don't make fun of me for saying TVs and movies.
Why don't we just roll that tape again?
Jeez, yes.
All right, Keith, you have TVs and movies.
Okay.
You
Good.
did movies.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my lord!
Oh my goodness. Well,
Yeah, early onset something here.
You know.
pretty funny.
But Noel, you've still got the review of pop culture. So take it away.
All right. So not 1985 pop culture, but this is for 1986 pop culture. So there were quite a few things that happened in 1986, and I think some of these things we've kind of touched on in prior episodes. Namely, the first one on my list was the disintegration of the Space Shuttle Challenger. It was in January of 1986. The Challenger disintegrated just 73 seconds after its launch. 7 astronauts on board, including one that was a teacher. And there were a lot of students that were watching this live. And it was an awful event. And one of the endearing images for me, I don't know about you guys, but watching the footage of it blowing up was Krista McAuliffe's 2 parents, staring up into the sky and just wondering what they were looking at, and not realizing that they just watched their daughter die in midair. So it was, that's just one of those things that kind of sticks with me. And every time I see that footage replayed, I think about how terrible that must have been for all of those families that were watching their loved ones, pass on. So what about you guys? Do you guys remember y'all were when that happened?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of those moments in history that all of our generation or around our generation knows exactly that moment. I was in my junior high school, and I remember we weren't in the science class, so we didn't have the TV. So we heard about it from another teacher that came in, and then all of the TVs got rolled out to all the classrooms. I remember that.
Yeah, very similar. I think I was in 6th grade Texas history class whenever it. We had the TV, but for some reason we weren't watching it when all this happened. And I remember the school principal making an announcement over the intercom, make everybody aware. And of course, obviously the teachers were excited about having one of their peers in outer space representing them. And so them being upset, and then there was a one obnoxious kid in our school that ran down the hallway and said something to defaming the teacher. Of course, that kid quickly went to um, school suspension after that moment.
I'm
So,
sure. Moron.
but no, yeah, it's a horrible moment, and it's funny. I can still remember whenever the shell explosion happened, early in 2000s, and what I was
2000.
doing.
Yeah, it's Columbia.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember that day too, and that it was over Texas when all of that debris happened. That was
Columbia. Yeah,
so, yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, it had a couple Red Raiders on board too.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's one of those moments in time, like you said, Keith. I think you said it well. It's like one of those moments in history where you remember where you were, and it's stuck with me. I remember it like it was yesterday, and just one of those events. But that was in 1986. Also in 86, I have like 3 of these back to back that are like air and space themed. I didn't plan that, but they're just kind of the way that the research department did their research on this. But I don't know if you guys remembered it, but it was called the Rutan Voyager nonstop flight. It was a experimental aircraft that made a continuous nonstop flight around the globe without needing to stop for fuel. This was in December of 1986, and the aircraft was made of lightweight graphite, and took about 6 years to build it. The pilots were Gianna Yeager and Dick Rutan. All in all, the record-breaking flight took about 9 days with 25,012 miles traveled. Wow. And they landed at Edwards Air Force Base just in time. There was about 5 gallons of gas left in the aircraft fuel tank when it landed. So I don't know about you guys, but kudos to both of them for making it that far. I'm assuming there's got to be like onboard facilities and stuff.
Right.
My wife needs to go to the bathroom before we back out completely out of the driveway.
Yeah.
I gotta stop. And I'm like, Jesus, we just left.
Took the words out of my mouth. I mean, we can't.
Crazy.
We leave the house, go to the grocery store. We're going to the restroom first thing at the grocery store.
It's crazy. 9 days though. I gotta imagine the inside of that plane smelled some kind of funk,
Oh, you know it. No doubt.
Jeez.
No doubt. Yikes.
But quite an accomplishment. 25,000 miles traveled. It's pretty cool. But I remember watching that. I remember seeing that plane fly and kind of tracking it as it made its way around the world. But also,
that's one of those where you wish the internet would have been more prominent at that time, because it would have been a whole lot easier and fun to follow.
Totally. Yeah, you could have cams and like live check-ins to kind of see where it's at, and all kinds of stuff. Would have been a totally different thing in 2024 compared to 1986. Yeah, when this is all going down. Also, 1986 was in February of 86. The Soviet Union launched the Mir space station, and it was the largest of the space stations at the time, and over its lifespan, over 100 space travelers hailing from 12 different countries were able to occupy the station until June of 2000, when they blew it up, I guess, or they like let it descend into the earth and burn up, right, or something like that.
I think they did over the Pacific somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, I remember something about that, seeing that fall down. But
I think some dude turned it into a smoker now.
Yeah. Did he really?
No, I'm just joking.
I would.
I like it though.
That would be some kind of
Mere
flex.
brisket.
Yeah. Where'd you get your smoker there? Oh, Home Depot. Yeah. Well, mine came from space. So
mine's from space. It's got a little special something.
Yeah. That's right. It helps the barbecue.
That's right.
This little thing I found in 1986. Ted Turner founded and started the first Goodwill games, and they were held in Moscow in 1986. It was started as a way to overcome the political issues that surrounded the Olympic events in the 80s. So in 1979, Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and then several Western countries, including the United States, boycotted the Olympics that were held in Moscow in 1980. And so then the Soviet Union then boycotted the Summer Olympics that were held in 1984 in Los Angeles. So there was this boycott thing going back and forth between countries and stuff. So Ted Turner decided to start the Goodwill Games, and those lasted until the last one was held in 2001. They're no longer being held. They were discontinued because of lack of ratings. But anyway, not a big one, but just something I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
In the world of fashion, I don't know if you guys remember this. I certainly did. About my mom always wore shoulder pads.
Oh boy.
That was just sort of, when you watch a movie and you see the shoulder pad, you're like, yeah, that's an 80s movie.
Absolutely.
You know, do y'all remember the shoulder pads? You'll have
Oh yeah.
teachers
Absolutely.
and yeah.
I used to tease my mom for looking like Brian Bosworth. Remember him?
Right.
Yeah.
Only Steve can tie in female shoulder pads to a sport event. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
but it does make sense.
That was easy.
100%. That was an easy one. Yeah, that was an easy one. So I do remember those. Like, was it the Home Alone mom? Didn't she even wear them? Like, those kind of shows.
I think so. I remember in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, his mom had shoulder pads
That's
on.
who it was. It was the mom at Ferris Bueller's. That's what I'm thinking about.
Gosh, she did look like Brian Bosworth, man. Those things are substantial.
You can put somebody down.
Yeah, you can. Give her a helmet. Put her in, coach. She's ready to play.
Be ready.
Yeah. April 26, 1986, a Soviet nuclear reactor exploded in Chernobyl, Ukraine, killing 7,000 people. At that time, Ukraine was still within the Soviet Union, and the explosion released a lot of radioactive material, kind of scattered all over Europe. But 7,000 people died immediately. I think there were a lot of people, I think 500,000 or something like that I saw, that were affected by it, or by the nuclear fallout, and got into the water supply, and et cetera, et cetera. But big deal.
Did you all see the show on Netflix that was about it recently?
Yeah,
Man, that was a good show.
I didn't watch that.
Highly recommend.
I do too. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what happens. It's still suspenseful.
Yeah.
Really.
I don't feel like they ever finished the story on that.
I mean, it seemed like it did.
I feel like they sort of set it up for more, but
is it a dramatization, or is it like a documentary style, or what is it?
It's more of a it's more of a
mix.
Of a reenactment. Yeah. It's a little bit of a mix, but mostly a reenactment of it, like a movie style. But they did a really good job. Like, really good job, I thought.
Cool.
Highly recommend it.
I will add that to my list. Also in 1986 was the rise of the mad cow disease. I don't know if you guys remember this. From November 1986. It was first identified in a lab in England, and it was said that the outbreak would affect about 150,000 British cows alone. However, it also believed the disease originated in 84, but the symptoms of the disease included a rapid decline in cognitive functions and behavioral patterns, and the cows showed an increase in aggression, and their gait would become unsteady. Man, I hate it when my gait gets unsteady.
Man, me too.
It's the worst. But they killed millions of cows. I remember that because people were freaking out. I lived in rural part of Texas back at the time, and back in Clifton, and I remember the cattle farmers were all worried about what that was going to do to their if they were going to have to kill off all their cows and everything. So it was a real concern to the people whose livelihoods depend on cows. But I remember that pretty clearly too. Halley's Comet came really close to Earth in March of 1986. It was the first, it visited the solar system for the second time within the 20th century. I don't know if do you guys remember that? Watching, I remember going out in the country, outside of town and watching, seeing, you can actually see the comet. I thought that was pretty amazing. First comet I'd ever seen. But y'all remember that?
Oh, heck yeah.
So I remember it's a vividly fun memory for me because we had a slumber party at my youth pastor's house
Mm.
that night, the night before, and we were all supposed to go out and see the comet because you could see it like best at like 4 a.m. or something, right? So we decided all the youth would go to his house, have an all-nighter there. And I remember that for some reason, I remember this vividly. We were doing ghost stories and stuff, and somehow the story about the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, and the conspiracy that Paul McCartney had died. Oh. Have you ever heard of this whole conspiracy?
No.
So anyway, there's a conspiracy that Paul McCartney died prior to the release of Sgt. Pepper's album. And I mean, and all of the Sgt. Pepper's, like the original album cover had all of these hints pointing to this. And it was like this audio recording that talked about all of these different things within the album, including if you play the album backwards at the end, there's a lot of gibberish at the end of the album. And it was supposed to be like, if you fell asleep during the album, the idea was to wake you up because it was so weird sounding. But supposedly if you played it backwards, it was supposed to say, I bury Paul, and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, so we were captivated listening to this thing, and we had the album in our hands looking through everything. And so, but yeah, that was just a vividly fun memory between ghost stories, the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's conspiracy theory, and Halley's Comet all in the same night. It was, I will never forget it. I'll never forget it.
I was afraid Keith was going to tell us that they got caught up in that story. They forgot to see the comment.
No, we saw it. And sadly, it was so weak. It was like the anticlimactic end to it. Yeah. Like the rest of the night was so much better than seeing this fuzz in the sky.
It was so pretty fuzzy.
Yeah.
That's funny. Steve, I was with you. I was kind of thinking that's where that story was going. I'm like, man, you guys are talking about Sgt. Pepper and you missed the comments.
It's funny. To this day, if I see that album or a CD, I will still look at those little things. It's really funny.
Wow. That's funny. All right. May 5th, 1986, the American Girl dolls were first released. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's still a thing even today.
Oh man.
Gosh, it is.
All these years later, American Girl dolls.
There's like a store and a restaurant at the Galleria in Dallas.
Yeah.
I remember that we had to take Ashley to this thing, and we actually had a tea with their doll that was dressed up like her. And it was like, I'm like, wow. Yeah. So that's a huge deal to this day.
Yes, very, very much so.
So that started in 86. Wow.
Yep. Another, this is a little recognized invention, but I'm sure everybody, I know, if you're driving in your car, keep your eyes on the road, but when you get a chance to stop, take a look at the little gas tank indicator arrow. That little arrow was invented by Jim Moylan, so it doesn't seem like that big of an invention, but good old Jim developed the little triangle that goes on your gas gauge and indicating which side of your gas tank is on. So
super brilliant.
Yeah, totally.
You know who to thank for knowing which side to pull up to the gas tank or pull up to the gas station. So,
and I honestly didn't know about that till like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
really.
Like, it was recent that finally somebody told me that, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
I mean, you appreciate it the most whenever you rent a car or you rent a U-Haul.
Oh yeah,
they're like, "Gosh, where's the gas pump?" Oh,
yeah,
there it is. Okay,
yeah. Invented by Jim in 1986, and it was introduced in select Ford models in 1989, and then other car manufacturers copied the idea and put it all in their vehicles too. But
wow,
he never patented the idea, so he didn't get credit other than this podcast. But
we're giving him the credit he deserves.
Good old Jim. Hopefully, I'm sure he's a listener. But anyway. That was invented in 86. In 1986, there were a couple scandals. The term, quote, going postal originated from a mass shooting committed by a U.S. Postal Service employee, Patrick Sherrill, in an act of workplace rage. So 14 people were killed in the rampage. So if you've ever wondered where the term going postal came from, it came from an incident in 1986.
There you go. Wow.
There it is.
I vaguely remember that, but I don't guess I put together that was the reason that term came about.
Yeah, I did not know that. I thought that was news to me. Of course, heard it, didn't realize it came from that, so I may not be using that very much anymore. Also, the Iran Contra scandal, which is a pretty big deal. Several members of the Reagan administration helped sell arms to Iran and then use the proceeds to fund the Contras, an anti-communist guerrilla organization in Nicaragua. Remember that? Oliver North, and kind of an iconic image of him testifying to Congress with his hand raised and all that. That's kind of an iconic image from 1986, but that all happened in 1986. So
I don't think I was old enough to fully understand what was going down there. I'm like, is this guy a good guy, a bad? I don't understand what's happening, but I know something is a big deal about it. That's all.
Yeah. Yep.
Seems like it's still to this day that having anything to do with Iran turns into something not good for the United States.
Right. Every time.
I'm starting to see that again right now. So
very true. It's true
No
even
question.
today.
Yep.
How many years later? Was that almost 30 years later?
Yeah,
No.
it's wild.
Yeah. More than that.
40 years.
Anyway,
40 almost. Yeah.
37.
My gosh. Wow. Anyway. All right.
Bring that up, didn't you?
Yeah. The during the 1986 FIFA World Cup in Mexico, which I'm sure Steve was probably watching and probably taping too. Yeah.
Captivating.
Yeah, for when he needs to sleep. Anyway, the 1986 FIFA World Cup in Mexico was the first time that the Wave was ever performed, and it
Really?
gained worldwide attention during that match. And so the Wave, as we know it today, was born in 1986. So
there you go. Something to be excited about there, Steve.
Then perfected just about 10 years later at the Houston Astrodome by the three of us. So
that's true. It's facts.
So true. So true. So next time you're at a sporting event and the Wave starts, you can impress your friends and family by telling them, hey, that was invented in 1986 at the 1986 FIFA World Cup in Mexico. And they'll be amazed. They'll really be amazed.
I think so. That's a conversation starter.
Yeah. Absolutely. During this in a nifty pickup line too. If you're in the dating scene, you want to pick up somebody and go up to somebody, hey, you know what? I know things.
Very true. I see you like soccer. What did you know?
Did you know?
I have something for you.
Can I interest you in a Wave? We're going to have babies together.
But you called it soccer and not football.
Oh, goodness. All right. These are all sort of just, I call them grab bag. These are things that have no relation to each other. They're just kind of interesting factoids I found, or the research department found rather. During the Civil War, Scott County of Tennessee broke away from the rest of the state to join the Union, and technically did not rejoin the state until 1986.
Really?
Isn't that weird? Yeah, like once one county in the state of Tennessee broke away and basically associated itself with the Union, while the rest of the state was part of the Confederacy.
Wow.
And the war ended in 1865, and it wasn't until 1986 that Scott County got its butthurt done. I don't know if they finished being butthurt about the Civil War and they rejoined the states.
They either really held onto a grudge, or they were lazy. One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was bizarre.
Wow.
Weird.
That's like 121 years later.
I know.
Yeah.
I gotta think it's like an administrative oversight, like somebody just slipped somebody's mind, like, hey, shouldn't we rejoin the state? I don't know. It's working out pretty good.
Carrier pigeon passed away on the way, and hit by a DB or something, and they didn't know.
I don't know.
That's wild.
The Burning Man event started in Black Rock Desert of Northwest Nevada in 1986. It had a whopping 35 attendees and free admission. So that event has been going on for almost 40 years and has gained a lot more than 35 attendees every year. So
the original Black Rock was where? Do you remember? Or the original Burning Man was not in the desert, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you know that? Yeah, the original Burning Man was outside of San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We should start something like that.
I think we could.
It's sort of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. We'll start with 3 people, the 3 of us, and then 40 years from now, there'll be a podcast, and they'll be talking about our event.
These
That'd be
3
awesome.
podcasters that were
The
best
the
friends
way
started
back,
this
the way back,
Yeah.
outback desert
Lollapalooza.
extravaganza. Yeah.
We'll
And
we'll work
here's
we'll work on the naming for it.
That's
Yeah,
right. Well,
yeah.
yeah, we may have to make a poll or two. So yeah, here research department research department just handed me this. The celebration of Burning Man's annual fire ceremony began, like you said, in '86, but it was held at the Baker Beach, the location of Baker Beach in San Francisco. So, and then I guess they got too rowdy and had to move it to the desert. So, kind of fun. I just completely shut my light off. Now I can see. So yeah. Pretty interesting though. I have this really weird fascination with this festival.
Do you really?
It's very, yeah. Like I've never been. I'm way too old to care to go.
Yeah.
But just the origination and how the whole thing is set up is pretty fascinating. I mean, it's weird. Don't get me wrong, but it's fascinating how like all the streets are coordinated in a certain way and the way that it's designed. Do you all know about this whole thing?
I know nothing about it, man.
Okay, it's pretty fascinating. Like if you ever get a chance to like YouTube the Burning Man, like Black Rock City, which is the name of the city. It's basically the city that's created every year. And when the Burning Man festival is over, it's completely taken down. They cannot keep any part of it. And it's recreated every year. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. And there's thousands of people. I mean, tens of thousands of people that go to this thing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I saw this year, there was a bunch of like rain. It was muddy and something like that. Something really nasty out there, like out in the desert, mud, so it never rains, but then it did. So
bad juju.
Yeah, I think so. You guys want to guess what the cost of a Super Bowl ad was in 1986?
Wow. Okay, Steve, you've got this.
Steve should know this. It's sports.
So
I would say
$100,000 in '84.
Did you say 100,000, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay. Steve,
for 3 minutes, or
it just says the research department just gave me the cost of a Super Bowl ad, so I would assume a 30-second spot.
I'm going to say $300,000.
Ooh, it is 550,000.
Nice.
Oh, you were closer. Price is right for Steve.
Yes.
Yeah,
should have said $1.
Come on down.
In 1986, one of the most watched live television specials of 1986 with an audience of 30 million people was hosted by Geraldo Rivera, The Mystery of Al Capone's Vaults.
Oh, yeah.
It was the vault.
And it was a dud, wasn't it?
Oh, totally flop.
Not a darn thing in it, man. The vault was hidden under Lexington Hotel in Chicago, where the Prohibition-era gangster Capone ran his criminal operations until his arrest in 1931. And it was this big hubbub about, man, there's going to be something really cool in this thing. And then they open the vault and there's jack. It's just nothing. So,
wow.
Good old Geraldo. But 30 million people tuned in to be let down.
To see nothing.
Have you ever seen that show, The Curse of Oak Island? So I think it's up in the Northeast somewhere. There's some island off of the New England area that supposedly pirates or, vessels landed on, shipwrecked, whatever, centuries ago. And there's this buried treasures, underground vaults, and all this stuff. Well, I watched this. I think it's still on. I think it's like season 7 now. And they still haven't found a dang thing. Every now and then they'll drill in, and all of a sudden they'll find like some lumber that's underneath the ground. They think they drilled into the wall of a vault, but they can never find the treasure. I mean,
it's 7 seasons.
I gave up on it, but yeah, it's
7 seasons.
Sorry, 11 seasons now.
What?
I mean, they're still looking for it.
Gotta give them credit.
Is it on just like Discovery or TL? Not TLC.
It is on.
Because one of my friends watches
on
that
channel.
Yeah, one of my friends watches that. And I have to keep telling him, like, Scott, you might be the only person still watching the show, you and the families of all the people that are on it, but it's good to know there's two people that are watching.
Yeah.
All two
I'm
of
like,
them.
he keeps telling me, he's like, oh, they're getting close. I'm like, Scott, you realize they're not going to find anything, right? Like, you're a smart enough guy to know. Anyway. All right. So 1986, Danny Heap became the first player in a World Series to be a designated hitter, DH with the initials DH.
Wow.
So
There you go.
that's
That's some
where
good trivia.
the DH. Yeah. All right. Peter Gabriel's stop motion music video for Sledgehammer raised the bar for video production. That was
intensively awesome music
that
video.
I remember that. Like, what am I watching? How is this possible that they're doing this? But that was amazing.
It was.
Oh yeah, it was great.
It's one of the best videos ever.
Oh, it really, really is. And this is my last one. This is kind of, I thought this was funny, so I threw it in there. But in Florida, there was a jury that was hearing a civil case for the Otis elevator company. The 12 members of the Florida jury hearing this case got stuck in an Otis elevator for 20 minutes.
Oh no! Oh no!
During the middle of the trial, and they ruled
bad timing.
Yeah, they Otis ended up losing the lawsuit and ended up
You don't say.
paying $135,000
Plus punitive damages for the jury.
Yeah.
You cannot make that up.
No, you can't.
Golly.
No, you cannot. I thought that was pretty funny. But
Wow.
Anyway, that's what I had for 1986. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get back and do 1985 whenever it comes back up. But
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, between the movies and the TV and the pop culture, this was a big time year with a lot of
Yeah, it really
interesting
was.
things.
yeah,
Really,
was.
really is. So
Yep.
that's really good. Good rundown, Noel.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Man,
Very much.
yeah, I mean, I remember the Challenger. I remember Halley's Comet. I remember
Mhm.
all of those things. And I probably was stuck in an elevator while I was listening to all those things.
Speaking of music videos, we all thought that Peter Gabriel was awesome, but whenever Robert Palmer came out with Simply Irresistible, that music video,
Oh, yes.
that changed things for us.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, yeah. No doubt. Every man our age remembers that video well.
Oh my gosh.
Rewind the VCR one more time.
Yeah,
I love
That
this
is the
song.
that's why DVDs should have been out then. It'd have been a lot more clear to pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had the four-head VCR, it actually would steal. Like,
That's
it'd give you
true.
still motion. If it was a two-head, then it was all like
Yeah.
fuzzy.
The
Yeah.
lines, like you were
Yeah.
watching Showtime without paying.
Yeah.
That kind of line.
That's how you knew if you were
Yeah.
rich. You had a forehead VCR.
Yeah, four-head VCRs was for the rich people.
Those are
Yeah.
the lit up ones, man.
Yeah.
That's when you hit the big time.
We were two-head people. So. But yeah, those were the days.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good stuff, Noel.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Good.
You
Nice
bet,
job, Noel.
guys. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Did
Thanks to
good.
everybody for listening, and we will meet you next time for what topic do you feel like talking about, Keith?
Well,
We can talk
I guess I'll do
politics.
music. Heck no. No, I will tell you, if there could have been a year that we could have screwed up and I could take over music, it's
This is it.
1986.
Yeah, there you go.
This is,
You're welcome,
in my
Keith.
opinion, this is the best year of music ever. In my
Well,
opinion.
I
And
cannot wait
to share.
I can't wait to hear it.
It must be
I-
chock full of Van Halen. I'm gonna venture that guess.
One thing, yes, but I mean, you're gonna be blown away. I promise
Alright.
you, it's an amazing year.
Can't wait.
I
So.
can't wait to hear it, man. Can't wait to hear it. Good stuff.
All right, we'll catch y'all next episode.
Take care,
Thanks,
buddy.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good old 1986. I'm so glad they messed up. Thanks for listening to the Wayback Chronicles. All shows are written and produced by Noel, Keith, and Steve. Massive thanks to those who made these memories possible for us through the years. All songs, sounds, and effects have been attributed in the comments section and through links listed on waybackchronicles.podbean.com. We look forward to taking you way back again in the very near future.